Hey everyone, are you just as fired up as I am? It's Krista Mashore here, and I have got a guest today that all of you should absolutely know. If you're a podcast listener, you absolutely know Pat Hiban, former owner of Real Estate Rockstars. Pat, how you doing?
Good, Krista. How you doing?
Great. We're so happy to have you. Thanks for being on here.
Yeah, my pleasure. It's going to be fun.
So everyone, I'm sure, is super excited to hear. First of all, is the news out that you've sold and all that good stuff?
Yeah. As a matter of fact, that was funny. I was on a podcast a couple of weeks ago, and I told the person that I sold it, and she went and changed my Wikipedia, so it showed it and linked her podcast, which is great for her, but I guess great for me as well because it made it super official.
Super official. I love it. So tell us now. So you sold it, and who purchased it?
So David Osborne, who's a big Keller Williams guy, he's one of the original Keller Williams regional owners. He owns 5 Keller Williams regions out of 32 of them. And Aaron Amuchastegui, who runs a company called Padhawk, which is a service that basically finds addresses of people considering selling or that should be selling or might be going into foreclosure, something like that. It's called Padhawk. So together they bought it with an LLC that they call FubaCast.
So do you know what their intentions are? Are they going to just still do the exact same thing that you did?
Yeah, I think that, at the end of the day, so what I did is I put it out for auction. I had 3 offers on it, and 2 of the other offers were from other real estate companies. So I think it was a defensive move in that sort of sense, right? They wanted to make sure another company didn't get it that competed against Keller Williams. And also an offensive move in that they believe that they could do better than I did with regards to selling Padhawk and selling Rebus University. What I was my means to an end was, to sell university courses, which we sold a lot of, but at the same time, the company, had overhead, and it was always a struggle for me to have the profit be more than the overhead. So plus I had done 850 episodes, and quite frankly, Krista, that's a lot. And I was just tired and wanted to do something different.
Yeah, I get it. I totally get it. So you were tired. Well, you did a great job. I know Real Estate Rockstars. If you're a real estate agent, you know who you are, you know about your podcast. I was on it. I've listened to so many of them, and you did a great job. So I just want to commend you. I know how much work it is now that I have one. And so I get it. So 850 episodes. So what are you doing now? So tell us what your mission is, and then we can get into, just what's made you so successful.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, right now, a lot of my focus is on GoBundance. It's a tribe of millionaires, and basically what GoBundance is, it's a mastermind. And, me and a few friends started out about 6 years ago, taking epic adventures and talking about money and talking about wealth building and health and that sort of thing. And eventually, over time, we started inviting more people. And then eventually, over time, we started charging money for people to hang out with us, so to speak. And now we have 225 members all over the world. And we're a men's business fraternity mastermind. We have opened up a women's division, which has 36 members as of today. And it's growing quite fast. We wrote a book called Tribe of Millionaires. And we have a website, of course, a free plus shipping website that you well know about, which is tribeofmillionaires.com.
Great. So basically, it's a mastermind group. People pay. What does it cost to become? Do you even get into that? What does it cost to be?
Yeah, so it's $7,000 a year if your net worth is less than $5 million. If your net worth is over $5 million, we have a separate division where it is $15,000 a year. So you can decide whether you want to pay $15,000 a year as a higher end net worth. That's called GoBundance Champions, and then there's the 1 million to 5 million. Obviously, you got to have $1 million to join in the first place. But if your net worth is between 1 and 5, or you just choose to be in that group, it's $7,000 a year.
So here's what I want everyone to kind of think about, right? Is that Pat here is creating passive income. and he's basically built this community based upon people that are like-minded. And the coolest thing is what they do is they pretty much go on vacation. They do these epic adventures. They do things like scuba diving and crazy things that I probably would never do. And then they brainstorm and mastermind, and he's charging people for it. So I want you to open up your mindset right now and realize that there's a lot to be done in business and development. It doesn't just need to be some cookie cutter, right? That's kind of what I'm getting from you right now, which I think is just awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. It's stuff, it's stuff I have fun doing anyways. You know what I mean? So, I love talking about money. I've always loved talking about money. I've always loved talking about business and health and that sort of thing and self-improvement. So it's just me doing the same thing, and hanging out with people that want to do the same thing, which is talk. I think if we find each other, and I'm sure you're in this situation where you walk into a room at a party and you finally find one person at the party that can talk about business and money and exciting things, and you latch onto that person. You're like, wow, yeah, let me just engage with this person, because everybody else's conversation is superficial and they won't understand it. It's going to take too long for you to explain it. And you know what I mean? When you finally find someone that gets it at a high level, it's cool. So we essentially have built that where it's very easy to go on our like chat group, right, for members only, and be like, hey, I just sold this piece of property. I got $2 million. What should I do with it? Or what do you guys think of this or that? Or, it's very simple to ask questions like that. And so it's, we love it, and I have fun doing it, and everybody that's in the group has fun doing it.
Yeah, it sounds totally fascinating. It's true too, because like I'm kind of a workaholic, I have to admit. But for me, work is sort of a hobby, I guess, if that makes sense. And so I have best friends that I've had for years and years, but they don't get me and my like entrepreneurial type of mindset. And so when I go to a party, I like to talk about business and work and funnels and, and they're just like, okay, boring. But when you're around other people that are just like that, it's just so amazing, because you'll go and the whole time you'll talk business, and that's what you enjoy.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And you don't want to, and then you don't want to leave that party feeling like, oh, Krista, all she does is talk about, business, or all she does is talk about money. You want to leave feeling like you met somebody else that likes talking about that, and you just kind of engaged with them. It was tit for tat. You know what I mean? So, it's difficult to dumb yourself down too much, I think. We have to dumb ourselves down, I think, for a lot of conversations we have. And if you have an outlet where you don't have to do that, it's just, just invigorating, I guess.
Yeah. Well, and they say, look at your 5 people that you surround yourself with the most, and you're seeing yourself, right? And so the more that you can surround yourself with like-minded people that have the same goals and objectives, that, you're just going to keep on reaching higher. I love it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's probably like you going in the, ClickFunnels, Two Comma Club, special dinner or whatever. You probably just like feel like so massively energized and engaged from the moment you walk into that dinner room. It's the same sort of thing.
Well, and it's so funny that you bring that up, because I had been in various masterminds before, and until I actually joined the ClickFunnels mastermind, I was kind of stuck in my business. I couldn't improve. And so once I joined that, that mastermind, because I was surrounded with like-minded people that, quite frankly, were a hell of a lot smarter than me and made a lot more money than I did. But very, very quickly, I was able to, based upon their knowledge and their skill set, increase my business dramatically. So I'm all about that. And I think it's great that you are too. And I love that you actually now are like the founder of one. You're just so brilliant.
I just feel like that. I think I was just really lucked out. I just kind of, I never thought that we'd have 225 members. As a matter of fact, I was like, just let everybody come for free. I like meeting new people. But, once we started getting like 12, 15 people coming on these trips with us, I started thinking, well, maybe we should charge money for this. And it just kind of, the universe just kind of created it. You know what I mean? It just kind of happened as things do, you know?
Yeah, I like it. Okay, so you have been around some of the greatest minds in real estate. How long did you have your podcast for, Pat?
5 years.
Okay, so for 5 years, Pat has been interviewing top performers in the industry, whether it be real estate agents, lenders, coaches, title reps. I mean, he's pretty much, if you're a complete bad A in the good sense, Pat interviewed you, all right? And so tell us a little bit about what you've learned. Maybe talk about some of the traits over time that you would say, and please know, guys, we didn't rehearse this. Pat and I were on for 30 seconds before we hit go. And so he doesn't, he's not expecting any of these questions. But for our listeners, you've met all the great minds. What types of personality traits, skill sets, habits? Let's just start with habits. Would you say are the great minds that are doing so well? What do they do differently than everyone else?
And this is in real estate sales?
Anything in the real estate industry, because we've got business professionals here, real estate agents, lenders. It's kind of who our target audience is.
Yeah. Well, okay. So let's start with agents and lenders, right? Okay. So let's just start with the basic commissioned person. It's really 2 words, and those 2 words are follow up.
Follow up. Okay. I love follow up. Okay.
That's it. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, I interviewed 850 agents, right? And at the end of the day, the best agents, the most successful agents with the highest profit, right? And the highest average sale price and the most consistent business were ones that had excellent follow-up skills, that just, you know what I mean? That just got somebody or met somebody or knew of somebody that was going to turn into a seller and just followed up efficiently and effectively. And that's it. It really boiled down to that one trait.
So what does effectively and efficiently look like to you based upon what you've seen?
Staying in their life so that they're top of mind, so that you're top of mind, so they don't use somebody else, so that they have to use you, because Krista is the one that they think of that's been calling them or Facebooking them or emailing them or whatever the case may be, texting them.
Constantly. Okay. So follow up. Did everyone hear that? So ask yourself, rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10. It's a new year. How was your follow-up last year and can it improve? Okay.
Yeah, that's all you did. Like the one agent came on, she had sold 17 houses in 6 months, brand new agent. All she did was literally for 4 hours every day, she sent outgoing texts. I mean, that is what she did, right? Like if you're going to work 8 hours, right? You're going to work anyways. You're going to work 8 to 10 hours. Why wouldn't like half of those hours be doing some sort of aggressive follow-up?
Mm-hmm. And what about prospecting? So, I just hired a new business coach and she said she gave me 4 things that, in business you need to do. And the first thing she said was prospecting. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, it's the same thing, right? I mean, prospecting, you're kind of looking for someone to follow up with, I guess.
Yes. Okay. So you guys heard it. Prospecting / follow-up to prospecting is the number one activity that you can do. Now let's talk about personality trait, or something that you see in them. What was like one of the main kind of personality traits? And do you think that can be taught or trained?
Yeah, that's great. Like the DNA of a successful person.
Yes.
Can it be taught or trained? Yeah, that's, a lot of times I say, it's not nurture, it's nature. Like I'm from a family of 5 kids, right? I'm compared to them, my net worth is a lot higher than the other 4. I was just born different, right? I was always different. I always felt like I certain things were important to me that didn't seem important to my siblings, and nothing against my siblings. They're great, awesome people. And the same thing could be said of, friends, right? I think I had it in my DNA, and then I was taught how to do it more effectively or how to do it the right way. Like it was just like selling real estate. Like my first couple of years in real estate, I survived, but I wasn't doing it right. I was focusing on buyers rather than listings. And once I started focusing on listings, I became 10 times more successful, 100 times more successful. Um, so that was nurture, right? That was a learned behavior. Yet at the same time, my DNA was the right surfboard, so that when the wave hit, or when I learned where to go catch the wave, I was able to stay on the wave. I think it's both, really. I would have to argue that it's both. I think some people just don't have it. I think it's a problem now, actually. You have all these shows like Shark Tank and all this stuff, and it makes everybody want to be an entrepreneur, and it makes everybody want to have ingenuity, where they're going to create something, and next thing you know, they're going to be a billionaire. And I don't think that many people actually have the DNA to do it.
Wow. So you think a lot of it has to just do with, so basically they have a different type of desire. You think you've seen it, from what I'm hearing you right or wrong, but it seems like genetically they're kind of built a little differently. They want different things. They think differently.
Yeah, they're hungrier.
They're hungrier, yeah. Well, I'm the same. But think about you and I. You're very successful. I'm very successful, and our personality types are completely different, right? I'm like kind of spazzy and hyper and super energetic, and you're a little bit more chill, So it doesn't necessarily mean you have to be that way. It's just a matter of having that intrinsic motivation and drive to be more, do more.
Yeah, I don't know if that's a great point. It's I don't know if it's a personality trait other than it is like an internal desire, to want it. Intrinsic. You know what I mean? Like, I always met, and I know people to this day that, like, they want to be successful, but they just don't seem to like money.
A lot of people have a fear of money. They do. And they have a fear of success, and they don't feel deserving of it. I think getting past that with people is just a huge thing, because a lot of us were taught, oh God, you got to work so hard for money, and money doesn't come easily. It doesn't grow on trees. And I think that really actually hurts people. Whereas for me, I'm like, money comes easily and frequently from increasing quantities through multiple avenues. Like, I say that to myself every single day, right? So that I can continue to have the universe bring me more of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I was giving advice to somebody the other day, and I was like, you're not greedy enough. And greed is, a negative term, but I was trying to get across succinctly to them what was missing, and the only word that came to mind was greed. It was like you need to ask for more profit. You need to be okay with winning more. You know what I mean? And what I was seeing in them, and they were asking me for advice, was for years they've been overly kind to other people at their companies, and underly kind to their own self,
to their detriment. Mm-hmm. I was reading the book this morning with Grant Cardone, Be Obsessed or Be Average. And he said the statistic is between 62 and 76%, give or take, but I think it was between 62 and 76% of all U.S. Americans, are living like paycheck to paycheck, where they just barely make it. That's almost 2/3 of people, right, are living paycheck to paycheck because of this mentality. It's just so sad to me.
It definitely is the way of the world. It's definitely, people don't save money. They don't, it's crazy. Mm-hmm. It's just, they don't, it's just the way. You just see it over and over again, right? You see it over and over again.
It's almost like the middle class is getting smaller and smaller. So you're either getting, more poor, or people are just making massive amounts of money. And, for me, it isn't just all about money, but I think when I think about money, I think about just living an abundant life. And the more money that you have, the more that you can give, and you can help, and you can pay it forward and be a philanthropist. So for me, making money that's a huge part about it for me.
Yeah. Money's kind of a scoreboard, right? I don't know if you ever really will have enough, right? You have 3 million, you want to go to 4. You have 20 million, you want to go to 25. You have 200 million. It's but it's a scoreboard. And at some point you have to decide, how much is enough and how much do I feel like playing the game. But money is really the scoreboard. That's all it is, and it does allow you, they say, oh, well, money doesn't buy happiness, but it certainly makes life a lot easier and can buy, an ease or ability to solve problems really fast, which should lower your stress, and anxiety. Right.
Gotcha. I'd much rather be stressed with having money than not. I think it's an easy
Right. Think of all the problems you could solve. You're like, people are like freaking out over this little thing and say, shit, I'll pay that for you. Or don't worry about it. We'll just write it off. I'm not worried about it.
Yeah. Gotcha.
I got the money,
I get it. I love it. So, what else? What else have you learned over the years? You're a really successful guy, and I really want you to, what kind of tips, tricks, advice can you give people listening right now so that they can have more money, they can have more abundance? What would you say if someone was listening and said, Pat, I'm a newbie, I have no money, I'm struggling right now. What would your advice be?
It kind of goes back to what you said earlier, be obsessed or be average. I think I kind of like that statement. I think there's a time in your life where you want to be obsessed. I don't know if you want to be obsessed, and I'm kind of going through this transition now. I don't know if you want to be obsessed at a certain age, but I think that at some point in your life, you want to be obsessed. Like at some chapter of your life, you need to be obsessed. If you want to get ahead. And there were certainly I guess with anything, right? It's just, you could call it obsession, but you could also call it passion, some more lessons, I guess, it seems like the recurring theme of what I tell people a lot. Everything in life is slow, especially nowadays. People expect everything so damn fast. Getting rich is a slow process. Building wealth is a slow process. It's like building health, right? If you're 100 pounds overweight, you can't drop 100 pounds in a day, and you didn't gain the 100 pounds in a day. So it's a slow process. It's like working out every day. It's like saving $100 every day or $10 every day. It's a slow process, right? You have to realize that going in and plan for the slow process. Plan it out, as if it is a slow process.
I couldn't agree with you more. So with these agents, lenders, people in the industry that have been mega successful, have you, they didn't all start out that way, right? They didn't start out that way. So what are some of the, the common themes that you've seen with agents or lenders or just whoever you interview that maybe, they don't just have a big break, right? So can you kind of elaborate on that if I'm making sense as far as the question I'm asking?
Yeah. I guess it goes back to what happened with me, right? As a real estate agent, I spent 3 years, I made, very little money. And then I figured out how to do it right because I got trained correctly. And then all of a sudden, I started making tons of money. And every year I would go to seminars and read books and do things where I would learn to get better and better and better. And I think it's the same way, right? It's, you just have to put yourself going in the right direction, become obsessed with continuing to move the needle forward a little bit at a time, and learn from people with track records, meaning learn from people that have gone there before. Success leaves clues. So find people that are doing it on a high level and just emulate them. There's no need to reinvent the wheel, right? Just copy people. I've always copied people. And I have no problem copying somebody. You know what I mean?
Yes. Putting yourself in front of the right people, the right coaches, the right mentors. I believe in this. People say that money is so important, but I believe time is, because once time is gone, you can never get it back. So I like to what I call collapse time frames. I learned that from one of my mentors, Myron Golden. And, if you can collapse time frames and make things happen shorter, right? Like you could ask someone, is $1 million a lot of money? And most people will say yes. But my question is, well, how long did it take you to get $1 million? Made $1 million in a year, that's probably a lot of money. If it takes you 10 or 20, not so much, right? But if you can collapse timeframes and once you can do that, money can start working for you to get things to happen faster, because that's why the rich become richer, because they have the money to make things happen faster. Right. Mm-hmm. And so it's so important. Okay. Man, I really feel honored to be being able to interview you today, because you have just been in front of some of the, best minds in the real estate and professional industry. What else can you tell us? I know you've got so much knowledge, Pat. I just want to continue to pick your brain.
Yeah. It's interesting. I mean, I think that, a huge part of my success has been investing. I think that it's important for people to invest their money, and invest in many different things as you can. Currently, I have about 49 streams of horizontal income, which is income that comes sideways, whether it be a rental property that pays me, rent every month, or an apartment building, or a shopping center, or, a book, intellectual property, pays me sideways, profit sharing, dividends from companies, things like that, paying me sideways, so that I don't have to trade time for money, right? I don't have to wake up and, do something to pay the bills, right? My bills are paid. And I think that a lot of people, they're only thinking about their vertical income. How can they make money trading it for time? And if you start thinking in horizontal lines versus vertical lines, it's made a big difference in my life. I don't, and 2020 is going to be an interesting year for me, because I'm going to do less and less. I'm basically going to be zero vertical income. The only vertical job that I really had was doing the podcast. And so now that that's gone, I have absolutely no vertical jobs. Every dollar that I get is a horizontal line. So.
Meaning, and he pretty much said it, but meaning money is coming to him more residual now, right? It's coming to him no matter what, without him have to actually do anything. And I think that's a great point, is think about ways that you can do that, right? And sometimes our brains get to be so, we're just laser focused on one thing, and we don't open our minds up to more possibility. And so that's great. So how did you start investing in real estate? What advice would you do to someone that says, well, I have no money, how am I going to invest?
Yeah, that's great. I mean, literally, I was talking to my daughter the other day. She's 23. And I said, I bought my first house when I was your age, 23. And she was like, wow, that's kind of out there in her thought range, And I was like, well, I'd like you to own a house, definitely before you're 30. But by the time I was 25, I had 2 houses. And then by the time I was 26, I had 3 houses. You know what I mean? I think you start out by buying. You just do it, right? It's there's a joke that's going around. It's a book called, Think and Grow Rich, and there's a new book coming out called Don't Think and Grow Rich, and basically what that means is, just do it. Like, just buy a house, just buy something and rent it out. Like, too many people think too much about how they should make their first investment, and so, I just did it. I just started buy something small, buy something you can control, buy something that if it sits empty for 6 months, you're not going to, lose your life savings, and just start renting it out and learning that and doing it again and doing it again. And then eventually, just like Monopoly, you take the little green houses, you bundle them up, you sell them, and then you buy a big red hotel. And that's essentially what I did, you know, to buy bigger things. I still own some greenhouses, but most of my stuff is bigger red hotels. And yeah, and that's my advice. You got to start somewhere. You got to start small and just buy and buy, and it becomes easier and easier and easier. Don't go out and buy 100 houses today, right? Don't go out and make some massive investment today. Just diversify it. Put some here, one house here, then wait 6 months, and another house here, then wait 6 months, whatever.
Plenty of areas in the, that people can buy in that are very, very affordable, that, needs little if money down, right? And I mean, there's some places that you can get homes for 40, 50,000, maybe not in the best neighborhood or the best area, but it's doable. So just start. People are so, everyone says ready, aim, fire. People are so, they're ready and they're aiming, but they never fire because they're trying to wait for things to be too perfect. So just fire, everyone. As you said, just do it. I love that. Don't think and grow rich. That's funny. Don't think, just do.
Exactly. That's the key, right? Just invest. And if it makes you nervous, and invest in something else. I mean, I can't knock the stock market either. I was looking the other, friend of mine called me the other day. It was like, shit, Pat. He was like, the stock market's gone up 4.5 times in the last 10 years. If we took all our money and cashed it out and put it in the stock market 10 years ago, it would be worth 4.5 times. Have you made that much in real estate? And the answer is no. And I'm like, well, gosh, we could have done nothing for the last decade. Now that's a really, really weird decade of gains for the stock market. It's never happened before. But at the same time, I guess the point is, if we'd have done that, it would at least have been doing something. It would at least have been saving money and putting it somewhere for it to grow and watching it,
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, we're just about at the end here. So what, I always ask everyone if you could just give one simple piece of advice, whether it be from you or based upon your vast knowledge from interviewing, hundreds and hundreds of agents, lenders, and professionals, what would that be for our listeners to just have the most abundant life ever?
Sit in a corner and do what you're told would be the advice. A lot of people just don't do. This is why most real estate agents fail, because they don't do what their manager or what the broker or the person in the front of the room tells them to do, or the coach or the podcast or whatever. They listen to a podcast and it'll be like an agent there selling tons of homes, saving tons of money, telling them this is what I do on a daily basis, yet they start the new year 2020 and they don't do any of that stuff, right? So the advice would be just sit in the corner and do what you're told. That's what I did. Somebody told me, hey, sit there and cold call these streets until you get an appointment to go look at somebody's houses. And I just did it. You have to be naive. You have to be autonomous, where you're like a robot. And you have to just, not be connected to the outcome, right? Just not care and just do what you're told. Guaranteed, there's tons of real estate coaches out there. You being one of them, and they're all right. The reason that why agents don't succeed, or lenders or insurance brokers don't succeed, is because they don't listen to what the coach is saying, and they don't do it. They don't follow the model, so to speak. So that one piece of advice, that's it.
I love that. So the funniest thing is I always end my podcast saying, it's great to learn, but you got to implement. So you pretty much just said what I say at the end of every podcast. But let me just say one more thing with that. When you make sure the person that's telling you to do it actually has a proven track record that they have done it, or they've been able to help other people do it, right?
Right. And that other people are doing it too in other parts of the country.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, Pat, it's been so great to have you. I'm so happy to see your success. I know people are missing you and seeing, but you've got your book that's come out. You're one of the co-authors in that, correct?
Yeah. It's tribeofmillionaires.com, guys. Just go to tribeofmillionaires.com and get a free book. You can go to Amazon and pay $20, or you go to tribeofmillionaires.com. It's $7 for shipping. It's a done deal. I highly recommend it. We've sold, probably 4,000 copies already. So please read. It's a great read.
Great. So if you want more of Pat Hiban, which I'm sure you do, or you wouldn't be listening to this, go and get his book, Tribe of Millionaires. Go to tribeofmillionaires.com. Pat, thank you so much. You've been amazing. I appreciate your time. I know you're a busy man making all your residual income money. And and thank you. And if you're listening, and of course you are, remember, it's great to listen and learn, but if you don't implement, nothing happens. Make it a great day, everyone. And thank you so much for giving me a little piece of your time.
Hey there, I have a brand new podcast called F.I.R.E.D Up with Krista Mashore, where I bring my high energy right to your ears. This podcast is available on all your favorite podcast platforms. So do me a favor, go subscribe and leave a review. All this information is free and I cannot wait to teach you everything I know. Thanks so much for watching my video. You can learn more about how to be a successful real estate professional by watching other videos that I have. And be sure to subscribe to my channel. And as always, make it a great home selling and buying day.